We all know what is an operating system. An operating system acts as an interface between the user and the computer hardware. We users or the applications cannot directly interact or have access to use the hardware. So, the operating system is responsible for doing all those tasks like memory management, process management, CPU management, etc. We are not able to access the hardware, and the operating system could able to do that because users are only capable of running in the user mode and the operating system are only allowed to run in the kernel mode. So there should be an proper interface between the operating system and the user so that he could render and perform various tasks. So a software or a program that acts as an interface between the user and the operating system is nothing but a system call. A system call is a tiny or a large program that is written in C or C++ language. There are various kinds of operating system exists like Mac, Windows, Android, iOS, Linux, Unix, etc. Each of them have their own architectures and various kinds of system calls. This is why the .exe files could able to run on a Windows operating system and are not capable of running in a Mac operating system. Windows can only capable to run .exe files as default, and Mac operating systems can only able to run .app files as the default runnable programs. So here are the set of system calls that are available in Windows operating systems, and here are some of the system calls that are available in Unix operating system. Each of them have their own kind of structure and procedures. But as we learned that some files are only capable enough of running in their specific operating systems and are not capable of running in all kinds of systems, but there is a feature in Java and Python programming languages known as portability, where a file can be runnable on any kind of machine, but it is not correct for now as we learned till now. So here comes the topic of virtual machines, which is nothing but a Java uses a Java virtual machine to compile the .java file and generate a .class file that is nothing but a bytecode. And also Python uses an interpreter to generate an intermediate code. So the bytecode and the intermediate code can be run on different operating systems only when specific tools installed on that corresponding systems or machines. So generally operating systems are not capable of running different kinds of files, but whenever a virtual machine or some kind of tool or software got installed in that operating systems of that specific computer, then these .class files or intermediate codes generated by the compilers and the interpreters are acceptable by the operating system and then could render or perform any kind of tasks. So these intermediate virtual machines or the interpreters are responsible for converting that into the machine understandable codes, and operating system could then perform any task only if and then the virtual machines are installed on the specific devices. Only then it is said that they are capable enough of running in different machines. So what is a compiler and an interpreter? Java uses the compiler in order to compile the code and generate a .class file, whereas Python uses an interpreter in order to generate an intermediate code. Both compiler and interpreter are translators, which means they convert one form of language to some other form of language. Generally, they tend to convert a high level language into a machine understandable language, that is zeros or ones, which is also known as a low level language. So a compiler takes a source program as an input and compiles and analyzes the whole program at a once and checks if there are some any compile time errors, whereas the interpreter is responsible for checking each instruction, that is each single line instruction. It analyzes and then checks if there is an compilation error or not. So in terms of pros and cons, each of them have their own advantages and disadvantages, but we cannot say that which is more efficient or effective. So a compiler uses more memory in order to load the program, whereas the interpreter uses least amount of memory in order to analyze or process the program. Whereas in speed and fastness, compiler is efficient, whereas interpreters is a little bit lower because it need to check or interpret the each instructions line by line. And in terms of efficiency, compiler is least efficient but interpreter is faster because we can find out the error and rectify and debug it at a single line at a time rather than checking it as a whole. So, thank you.